It really seems like at times life beats you up for a reason. Oftentimes that reason is a bit obvious, other times a bit subtle. And for me this time it was right in my face because the one thing that I held cherished the most in this material world, my van, was desecrated. And not for the first time in my time in Serbia. Actually, it was like the second time, but the first time they took anything substantial. Luckily, I have insurance, and through a lot of shopping and replacing, and a little bit of gym, I got back on it to get my things back in order, to get my van ready for another trip. This trip, wholly necessary to get me out of this mindset of feeling stuck in this place. For a while now, I felt like I've been inadequate just lingering along this city. And after a few checkups with the van and a few things replaced, I felt like I was ready to go to get back on the road. So there I was, back on the road late at night. Way too hot these days for me to hit the road in the daytime. It was a long journey. About 6 hours or so. But as I made it through the long empty highways, through Macedonia into Greece, I felt some level of relief. I've been talking about this from time to time, running off to Greece to see friends and, old lovers, but I always found a reason not to do it, but I don't have any more reasons left. And in fact, in my time in Belgrade, I felt like I was spending too much money, and going to Greece, staying in my van would actually help me save some. So I did it. I hit the road, straight to it, and didn't waste any time. And about 6-7 hours later, there I was. Now, I wanted to go to see friends, and I was happy I went there to see friends. But I often find that over time, I get tired of people and people get tired of me. And that happened to me then and there. So after seeing some friends and staying at their place for some time, I figured it was due time that I went off on my own to find my own adventures. And so I did, enjoying Thessaloniki, hanging out with a few new faces, going on dates, having parties, and just enjoying the sights to be seen. Thessaloniki has a lot to see, and I was pretty lucky because I knew a lot of great locals. And, I really felt like at a time, for a brief moment, if everything failed, I would just return to Thessaloniki and maybe make it my next home for a while. But I haven't given up on Spain. Although I was quite happy there, I know that Spain has something else for me, and that chapter has yet to be uncovered, so I'm not going to cut it short before it even starts. Nevertheless, as I spent time in Spain, or in Greece, I also went over down to Skiathos to spend some time on the island. A little bit of that time was spent with a friend or two, and then off on my own, a beautiful Airbnb, seeing a nice little patch of the land towards the east with not too many neighbors around. Great place for me and the dog to go on hikes, great place for me to have a drink or two. It was truly sublime, that moment of serenity, that respite from all the chaos. But nevertheless, it was short-lived. In that brief time I did have there, about 5 days, I did meet a great girl, I had good drinks, I had good food, and I already missed those mussels. And the cocktails were good, they were too expensive. So, I enjoyed my last little moments with this girl and this place, made some writing, had some parties, and then I was back into town in Thessaloniki. Met another girl I met at a party, and we just had a good little time while I kind of figured out what the next step was in my game plan. I really feel like I need to work on this behavior of mine, this habit I have of sticking around when it's time to go, but I haven't quite mastered that yet, and I have time to figure it out. So, I was towards the end of my journey in Thessaloniki, wrapping up a few things, getting things in order. I still had gear missing from the theft, but I was just about made whole and I was back on the road soon enough. It really felt like I needed to go somewhere else, somewhere far away. So after a brief moment, enjoying some wine in a beautiful vineyard I list below, I enjoyed some history, had some drinks, and then I was back on the road. But as I was on the road, I really felt like Greece, this big, beautiful country, is so massive. You really can't see all of it in a week or two or 5. So I took a moment to enjoy the mountains up in the west. I guess the west is hard for me to describe. I'm not sure what is in west, north, or east. All I know is I went toward the border of Macedonia to enjoy something that probably only locals really spend much time in. After my time in Thessaloniki and the surrounding towns in the area, I felt like it would be nice to be really out there in nature, but not quite away from people, because, well, this is summertime in Greece, you can't really avoid people. But at least I was away from all the hustle and bustle of the town. So I went off to this little beautiful river, known for its waterfalls. I'll send the link down below of where I was, but I had a few nice blunts, a few nice dips, a few nice drinks, and instead of spending time in town, I decided to just sleep in my van after having a nice meal somewhere. It was really, really charming, but I didn't really think this town was worth more than a day or two. So I enjoyed my drinks, I enjoyed my smokes, I spoke to a few locals, and I was back on the road soon enough. I really feel like when you live this lifestyle, everything feels brief. Even a week feels brief. Because, well, you're just lingering. You have no real mission except to experience. But that's not the beauty of life anyway. We just want to experience. And when you don't have anyone or anything restricting you on how long and how much time you spend in one particular place, you only have time to experience. And if that's my only obligation, I think I'm pretty content with that. But yeah, that was my little Greece trip. There was a lot more in there, but you can only fit so much in a video. And some of the things were a little bit too naughty to post on social media or YouTube. But it was a great time, and I want to go back. Thessaloniki really treated me well. The people, the food, everything. I really felt like I gained a new love for the place. Nevertheless, it was time to go. And it's time for me to go now. See you in part 2 when I go explore Macedonia and Albania.